Hello, and welcome to Carbonwhy, the channel that's catered to those who are avid lifelong learners. My channel explores the how, what, where, why the world works the way it does. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe button so that you can get notified of my next video. In this week's episode, we find out, could Tesla succeed in India? We've all heard about electric cars. Everywhere we go, there's talk about electrifying vehicles, but can electric vehicles like Tesla succeed in India? Elon Musk himself said that Tesla will enter the Indian market this year, but Elon is known not deliver on some of his promises, so critics believe that might not actually be the case. Some say Tesla might not enter the market for a while, but the company did make a few steps in the right direction on January 8th by registering Tesla Motors India and Energy Private Limited in Bengaluru. But India's car market is vastly different from other countries. The cars that sell in India are relatively cheap, and 80% of the cars sold hover at around $12,000 or under. On top of that, India lacks the infrastructure needed for widespread electric vehicle use. The country just doesn't have enough charging ports for EVs, and the driving lane consistencies are also a big challenge. So if Tesla does come to India, the integration won't be easy. India is one of those markets that everyone keeps saying there's a lot of potential in. And if Tesla does establish a foothold as India transitions to electric, it could be big for the company. Automotive analyst David Leggett says India's market will see high growth over the next 10 years, and Tesla is definitely going to want to be a part of that. Despite being one of the most populated countries in the world, India just doesn't have that many cars, which makes the car market there unlike any other in the world. Analysts say that India sells around 3.5 million vehicles every year compared to China's 25 million. Car ownership in India is a lot less than in places like the US. In India, most people rely on motorcycles and mopeds, and the market of passenger vehicles is mostly controlled by a few. The market in India is controlled by a few big players, the biggest of which is Maruti, owned by Suzuki. It controls 50% of the market share, which makes it really tough on other brands like General Motors, who exited the country, and Ford, who has significantly reduced its operations. But India's auto industry has been growing. It's now the fifth largest auto market in the world, after Germany, Japan, the US and China, and it's expected to grow 11.3% from 2020 to 2027. Yet still, car ownership is quite uncommon. Only 22 of every 1,000 people own a passenger vehicle, and those that do have lower-end models. The market in India is a cost-conscious one, because there's so many cheaper alternatives available. Just take best-selling brand Maruti for example. The minicar costs around $10,000, and at least half of the cars on the market are around the same size and cost. In India, the demand for luxury vehicles is small, but is expected to grow by at least 6% in the next 5 years. Brands like Mercedes-Benz and BMW are the number 1 and 2 players in the luxury vehicle market, but they account for just 1% of the market in India. As for electric vehicles, well, there isn't really much of those in India either, but the EV market is now emerging. Tata Motors is soon going to launch their EVs, and Maruti Suzuki has plans to launch hybrids and EVs, which they have a joint venture globally with Toyota. India does have a lot of electric rickshaws though, the 3-wheel carts. Those have been around for a while. There are about 1.5 million of them, used by millions every day in India. Another problem that Tesla faces is that the average middle-class person can't afford to buy one. But Tesla has faced problems like that before. In China, Tesla reduced the cost of the Model 3 several times to boost demand. Michael Jun, CEO of Zuzu Go, believes Tesla will price their products as high as reasonably possible in the Indian market. He also says Tesla will likely import parts as knockdown parts from China and assemble the cars in India to be sold as exclusive premium products. But India doesn't have the right infrastructure to support EVs. The charging infrastructure is nowhere near where it needs to be to support EVs already in India, and most of India's power grid still runs on coal. There's also lots of power outages too, especially during the monsoon season. As for Tesla's signature features like autopilot, self-driving and the automatic lane-changing feature, they may not be available in India either. There is a small, loyal brand following for Tesla in India, but whether it's a strong enough following to turn into sales is the real question. Automotive forecaster Puneet Gupta says Tesla has the potential to double or even triple the premium car market in India. Some experts believe importing into India may be the best move for Tesla. But some wonder if things like import tariffs will drive up the cost because India has stiff import tariffs that go up to as much as 50 and even 100%. Can you just imagine how much an already pricey car will go up in cost with import tariffs like that? Automotive analyst David Leggett says having an assembly plant in India is one way around those high tariffs. Tesla could import knockdown kits to be assembled in India, and as the EV market grows, Tesla could then set up manufacturing in India. Amar Master, senior manager at Asia Pacific LMC Automotive, says Tesla could start opening a CKD factory like what Mercedes-Benz and BMW have done at around a capacity of 20,000 to 30,000 units per year. And CEO of Zuzugo, Michael Dunn, says Tesla could manufacture in India for export to other Asian markets and around the world. Places like China, the US and Europe all had the help of government incentives and policies to help jumpstart the EV industry there. The Indian government has announced some initiatives to incentivize customers to buy electric vehicles and to incentivize battery producers to set up shop in India. The government also has imposed tariffs on imported electric vehicles to incentivize local car makers to produce more electric vehicles. In terms of taxes, electric vehicles are charged only 5%, whereas other passenger vehicles are charged 28%. Still, more needs to be done. While the Indian government does have some incentives for EVs, it's not really as high a priority as other things like social programs and dealing with unemployment and food shortages. Those issues are more relevant to the country right now. It's unclear whether Tesla is working with the Indian government like it did with China, but David Leggett believes it would be in their best interest to do so, because the government is in a sort of bidding war in terms of offering incentives. Several automakers already have plans in the works to introduce EVs to India. There's India-owns Tata Motors and Mahindra that are already selling EVs in the country, like Tata Motors' Nexon EV. Mercedes-Benz has already entered the market with their electric car, the EQC, in 2020, and Jaguar's I-Pace will be launching soon. But Tesla's biggest competition may still be gas-powered cars simply because they're way cheaper to buy than electric cars. But if Tesla were to build a more affordable EV, it could give the company the competitive advantage it needs. Because India wants to move towards more electric cars, but they can only really do that if the price points are low. Most consumers go for two-wheelers and three-wheelers electric vehicles because they are more affordable. Eventually, the Indian EV market will move up to electric cars and premium exclusive electric cars. But some still believe that the electric vehicle market in India won't take off anytime soon, especially with all the challenges that India already faces. And the fallout from the lockdown is just one of many. The lockdown seriously stunned India's growth in 2020, and the government's immediate priority is to get the growth back on track. As for whether Tesla will succeed in India, I'll guess we'll just have to wait and see. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, please like and subscribe and watch these videos that might pique your interest. Thank you for your support.